So we're in the middle of the Maimon Oosifartem, and the last thing we said was the Sphira concept, the Omer concept, really has two aspects. There's the mitzvah of Hakravas, the Karban Omer, offering the Omer offering on Tesayin, and then there's the Sphira of the Omer, the counting associated with that Karban. And the Rebbe explained that the Karban is birur of the moichin of the animal soul. So since the animal soul's intellect is fairly weak and undeveloped, you could do it in one shot with this Karban and refine the intellect. But then it takes us 49 days to refine the emotions, because that's, of course, the strength of evil, so to speak, of the animal soul is its emotional panorama. And then the Rebbe explained that there's refinement in terms of, as we call it, the weeks and the days. Each week is each comprehensive midah, the 7, and then each day is how that midah subdivides within the 7, which is how we have 49 days, 7 times 7. And the Rebbe was explaining that nowadays we don't have the power to transform a midah. They used to, but we don't. But what we could do is take it bit by bit by bit and work on that transformation. And that's what we were discussing last week about how we transform our midahs. So we're now up to the next section where the Rebbe, so to speak, gives us one prototype example. What does this mean, our midahs and the transformation of our midahs and the using of our midahs for Hashem, with the first foundational midah of chesed. And first we take the midah of chesed and go through from chesed sheba chesed until malchus sheba chesed on the side of godliness, your neshama's manifestation of that midah. And then we take chesed sheba chesed through malchus sheba chesed on the side of the animal. And when we're setting up these two different visions, the idea, of course, is for us to understand our power on the side of godly to use chesed to serve Hashem, and to understand how we need to refine on the side of the animal and make sure it doesn't go in any negative direction. And the Rebbe just does this one midah of chesed because once you understand it, once you like chew it and get into it and forbrain a bit about it, then you could apply it to all the other midahs as well. So first we're starting on the positive side, of course, the side of godliness. What is chesed in its details? So we start off with chesed sheba chesed. Well, we know chesed is love. Chesed sheba chesed is loving avodas Hashem. So all of your avodas Hashem, if it's Torah, if it's mitzvahs, you have just a love for it. That's chesed. You could extend this further and say, if I really love Hashem, I love avodas Hashem, and I love when people are being oved Hashem. So it's not only that I feel a love for Torah and a love for mitzvahs, I feel a love for another Jew who's doing Torah and mitzvahs. When I see a Jew who has Yer Shamayim, when I see a Jew who's serving Hashem, I feel a love for him. Now, why am I loving him? I love Hashem. I could love avodas Hashem, but was it to me if another Jew is serving Hashem? No, because if you really love Hashem, you really love anyone who's serving Hashem. Anyone who serves Hashem, you feel like a connection to because, hey, you love the one who I love, and you're doing what my beloved wants done. So there's just an automatic affinity that Jews should have when they see another Jew serving Hashem. Now, I would assume, of course, the Rebbe here says Jews, but based on the first Maimar the Rebbe ever taught, probably in those days, the idea of Noachais would be very, very radical. But I would assume for ourselves, the same thing would be true to see any human being. Any human being we see serving Hashem, we feel an automatic love for them. Because here's someone serving Hashem. If I love avodas Hashem, anyone that serves Hashem, I have a love for. Does this jive? Do you see this? Like when you see someone else serving Hashem, you feel a feeling for that person because of their avodas Hashem?
When my kids serve Hashem, I love them so much more. It's so cute. They curse the mezuzah. They're saying Shema, even babies.
Right. That's true. That's a good practical example because it's sort of a blend of our love for them, and we love our children, and our love when they're doing something that we love. You know, we so much want them to be Ovdei Hashem. That's like, our joy, our nachas. When you see your child living the life that you know is the best thing for your child, it fills your heart in such a strong, strong way. That's very true. Very, very, very true.
Yeah, also when adults serve Hashem, it's so beautiful. Like there's certain humility. You see Hashem's light shining through them, and it's just this, like it's really sweet. It's really sweet. Like their neshama is shining, and they're not blocked, and like we know that like if it's the opposite, if somebody is anti-God or is egotistical or, there's no room for Hashem, like it's really different. Like they're really, this is non-lovable pull. Like it's the push. It's okay, well, I'm gonna look the other way, right?
I agree with you also. I know, I always think of it like just the Rebbe trained us so well because as a Lubavitcher, it gives me such joy if someone I'm trying to help and closer to Hashem does anything. I feel so good. And like someone could say like, not why do you care? Obviously you care, but to that degree. But if I guess how I'm understanding what you're saying, I think this is what you mean. Definitely is what I mean is if someone is not from or coming closer to Hashem or in the process, or I mean, whatever, there's many Jews in many different situations that are moving toward Hashem. And if I'm talking to someone or have some relationship with them, even if it wasn't directly from me, I came from someone else. But if I know a person, I have a relationship with them and I see they put up mezuzahs or their kitchen's kosher or they're not buying not kosher meat or any detail, I'm so happy. I'm so excited. It puts me on like cloud 10. And I always think like, oh, Rebbe, you just trained us that way. That like someone's saying, why are you, I mean, yeah, it's nice, but you're so happy. You're so full of joy because someone put up mezuzahs or put up a mezuzah or came to a class. Like, it's not your child. It's not your this. It's not your that. And it's not like it's just automatic. I just feel such joy. I'm so excited. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful. And you're right. I guess this is this part of our neshama shining, this chesed shebechesed, where we just so much understand the value of Avodas Hashem and for the person themselves, how this is the most beneficial thing. And for Hashem, I think also a lot of times, you know, how the Rebbe says that like every Jew is like Hashem's only child. And a Jew that's not serving Hashem is like Hashem's estranged only child, and imagining Hashem's joy when he and his child are together. So that could be part of it, of just feeling like such a euphoria, really, when you see a Jew take on a mitzvah. Absolutely. So that's chesed shebechesed. So what's going to be gevur shebechesed? The opposite. I mean, meaning the other direction. As now, again, all these things are so multifaceted. And you could, I mean, even the Rebbe brings out also for chesed shebechesed, it's your own energy in serving Hashem, your own zrizas, alacrity, push, joy. That's all part of chesed shebechesed. And many other things the Rebbe doesn't mention. So the same thing with gevur shebechesed. I'm sure there's many dimensions, but the one the Rebbe is focusing on is as much as chesed shebechesed is how much you're excited and happy, in love, when you see a Jew serving Hashem, gevur shebechesed is the hatred you feel for those who oppose Hashem. Now, of course, we're 21st century Americans, so we have a hard time with the word hatred, but that's the truth. You know, that's the truth. The hatred you feel. And I mean, I think in our post-October 7th world, those words like resonate, or we get them in a way we didn't before. I would say for myself, I see the shift in myself, because before I didn't, I mean, it was more like a historical reality, virulent anti-Semitism, overt hatred, but now it's our world reality. And when you see another example, and I'm like, whoa, there are so many haters in this world. And what are they hating? They're hating the Jewish people. Why are they hating the Jewish people? In the end of the day, the Jewish people represent Hashem. We represent Hashem. This is as if by hating us and by crushing us and by removing us, they could, again, consciously or subconsciously remove that Hashem reality. It was actually interesting. I read a piece today where someone was writing actually about this very idea, saying like, what's the reason, like the whole world in such a irrational fashion, like it's so irrational. What bothers us so much about Israel over every other country? As we all know, all the other countries doing far worse, and all the, you know, tremendous lack of any concept of human rights in all these countries that everyone like talk about, or women's rights or children's rights or other religion rights. And suddenly like Israel is like the scapegoat of the world. And, you know, just going through the concept that like at the end of the day, our success bothers them. Like, what's going on? Doesn't make sense. You're so small and we keep persecuting you. And why do you keep rising to the top? And how did you come back? How are you like this indigenous people that actually came back to their land 2,000 years later, you know, almost. And we keep taking everything away from you. And how are you the top in medicine and the top in technology and this? How are you so strong? How are you militarily so strong? How are you technologically so strong? How are you succeeding? 2% of the American population and 27% of all the Nobel Prize winners of America. It's like that's disgusting, you know? That's horrible. And it's almost like, it's like a person has two choices. I don't mean like the educated by TikTok people of the world, but someone who's got a little more knowledge than that is like, well, either there's a God and that's the source of your immortality and strength and success, and I'm so excited, or I want to stamp you out because I don't want to believe there's a God that's giving you this. So if I can crush you and remove you, I also crush and remove the concept that there's a God who's making this happen. It was very interesting. On the other side, I saw some fundamentalist Christian politician who was saying how if America stops supporting Israel, God will stop supporting America. And that's really the fundamentalist Christian belief. Like, why are they so supportive of Israel? The Christians, the same ones that wash the world with the blood of the Jews, but as part of their fundamentalist doctrine, they take very, very seriously what it says in Torah, those that bless you, I will bless. That's like one of their basic tenets. So if you are supportive of Jews, God will bless you. And the converse is true as well. So it's almost like the world looks at us and sees the Hashem reality and wants to do whatever they can to be part of it. Or the world looks at us and doesn't want to see the Hashem reality and does whatever they can to crush us. And the Rebbe is saying here, Gvura Shebechesed is hating those that hate Hashem. Because at the end of the day, if you hate a Jew, you hate Hashem. It's bottom line. You're hating the Jewish people. Whatever words you put over it, it's not anti-Semitism, it's anti-Zionism, and it's all the words. At the end of the day, you hate the Jewish people. You hate the Jewish people. It's an expression of your wanting to remove Hashem. Chas v'shalom to say, but yeah, this is your relationship with the Jewish people, because this is your relationship to Hashem. You don't want him to exist. You don't want the Jews to. So what are we supposed to feel? Are we supposed to be tolerant and accepting? And as long as they don't hurt us, actually, it's sort of okay because we've been trained to be tolerant and accepting. No, that's not what Torah says. Torah says, Gevura Shebechesed. Chesed means your absolute love for Hashem. And because of your absolute love for Hashem, there's Gevura, there's hatred of anything that's in opposition, that's a hater to Hashem. So have you seen this in your lives, at least post-October 7th? More of this resonating?
Well, this reminds me of what we learned in Tanya when we were learning about Abba and Yira and how they're connected. That Yira, we have this fear. You love Hashem so much that you're afraid to separate from Him, and this concept kind of reminds me of this.
Well,
And
actually,
like
it's interesting
Miriam,
saying that
she was so bitter. But Miriam was so bitter against Galus. She loved the Geulah so much that she had this bitterness against Galus. It reminds me of it.
Exactly, or I'm thinking it's bringing in Tanya. It speaks about how the tzaddik, the degree he loves Hashem is the degree he hates evil. And because the tzaddik loves Hashem absolutely, the tzaddik Gamor, therefore he hates evil absolutely, and therefore it can't exist inside of him. And therefore it ceases to be. He destroys evil by hating it, by removing his chayes from it. Well, why does he have such massive hatred of evil? That's not nice. Why does he hate it? Just ignore it. No, because if I don't hate it, I vivify it. If I just have status quo, I am mimela passively feeding it and allowing it to exist. But if I absolutely love Hashem, I absolutely hate evil. And if I absolutely hate evil, I withdraw from it any chayas, and that's how it's gone. So definitely, you're right. That's those clear parallel visions.